Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever you see this you got Ray coming to you live all the way from here. Where's here? Right. Chill. Let me see what I got going on over here. Okay. All right. Uh, welcome to Ray's Corner Live. I'm Ray Wilkerson, your lived experience expert in housing navigation, recovery, transformation, and shared living. Always remember, I do not teach from theory. I teach what life taught me. Welcome this morning to our Saturday morning book reading. I'm looking over here. Those of you that's on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the share button, and it's a little shaky over there on YouTube. My people on Facebook, hit that share button, hit that like button. You know what time it is. I ain't on TikTok yet, but when I drop them shorts down, hey, share, share, share. Follow, follow, follow. Good morning, good morning. And listen, I want everybody I appreciate all of y'all that's jumping on, hitting the comment section. Where you looking in from? If you was here last week, oh man, my internet is really now I just see that ain't nothing but the enemy. On my Facebook page, it just finished. It just went away. So now I got to do it all over again on my Facebook Live page. Okay, loading. Uh, let me do this. Let me do this so that it won't happen again. Okay, that's good. That's all right. All right. We're loading over here on Facebook. All right, you guys, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I got to get my Facebook page over there rolling. It was all good until I went live, right? Now it's loading. This internet service where I'm at is really, really jacked up because on my YouTube channel, it's slow. I think I'm gonna start using my other laptop. Okay, here I am. Three, two, one. All right, I'm back live on Facebook. Sorry about that, y'all. We lost connection. It is what it is, but I'm going to get ready to get it in. Listen, I'm going to give people a few seconds to jump back on. Hopefully, they'll jump back on, comment. All right, look, let me know where you're from. Those of you out on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that notification button so you know when it's jumping every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. Those of you on Facebook, you know what time it is. Just do what you do. My tiki-taki friends, just follow. Look, let's get right with it this morning. We're going out of my book, From Homeless to Housing the Homeless. The missing link between homelessness, housing, and lasting transformation. One body, one mission, one purpose, one kingdom. For those of you that would like to get the book so you can read along on Saturday mornings, go to my Amazon. Just type in Ray Wilkerson. Find From Homeless to Housing the Homeless. Make sure you get the missing link between homelessness and housing and lasting transformation. Because I do have another one that has the same title, but that was my first one. This is my second one. Or if just put in the comment section, hey Ray, can I get that signed book? I'll send it right to you. All right. So we're dealing with our first chapter, right? And the first chapter we dealt with the journey. The journey begins. And I talked about how this whole thing started, when I was out there on drugs, wound up on that second floor fire escape, how did I get there? The things that happened. And the reason why I stopped using, what a lot of people ask me, the reason why I stopped using. In this section, in chapter one, we're going to talk about the voices. See, because all that other stuff that was going along, all that other stuff that I was doing, man, my YouTube channel is really jacked up. So I'm gonna have to do something different. I might not be able to be live on YouTube because that's really bad. Um, but listen, it wasn't the drugs and the shootouts and the homelessness and the sleeping in Vanderbilt, all that. It wasn't all that stuff that caused me to stop. It was when I was alone by myself on them trains, in them parks, in them basements, in them crack houses. in my room. All those, oh man, let me get over here. All those voices. I'm sorry, y'all. All those voices, all those voices was driving me. They really was driving me. I mean, it was driving me crazy. That's why I stopped using. That's exactly why I stopped using. So let's go in chapter 1, the journey. The journey begins. Let me move that out the way a little bit. Okay. The voices. One of the hardest things to explain about those years is the battle going on in my mind. And listen, you didn't have to be on drugs or alcohol. You right now, there's some things that you're battling inside your mind, some things that you did, some ways that you're living. Like it's not like just focused on homeless people. It's not just focused on people coming out of prison. It's not just focused on people on drugs. It's not just focused on people with mental illness. I mean, even now, 29 years clean, like those voices still hit me. Those voices still try to take me places. The voices. One of the hardest things to explain about those years is the battle going on in my mind. The streets were difficult. The addiction was difficult. Homelessness was difficult, but the voices were often worse. No matter how difficult it was on them streets, no matter how difficult it is in your life, no matter how difficult those things was going on around me, it was those voices. It was those voices that was tearing me up. It was the voices that was worse. Let's get back to the book. And what was those voices? Let me tell you what those voices was. These were the voices that might even be hitting you right now, right? These voices that you hear, these voices that feel like they're tormenting you. These were the voices that I'm getting ready to talk about. Here we go. Let's get to the book. The voices of failure, the voices of shame, the voices of regret. I'm like, do you hear those voices? The voices that you fail at, no matter how many times you do something and you fail, and that voice just keep telling you you'll never get better. That voice just kept telling me, I will never stop using drugs. I will never be a good dad. I will never be a good father. I will never be a good husband. I will never, 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 ever. The voices of failure, the voices of shame, the voices of regret, the voices telling me I would never change. The voices were telling me my future was over. The voices told me nothing would ever get better. Man, for years, I tried to silence the voices. I did everything I could. Drugs, women, jobs, money. For years, let's go to the book. I tried to silence those voices. Sometimes with drugs, sometimes by running, sometimes by pretending they were not there. When I talk about running, I'm talking about changing my geographical location, going from Camden to Philly to New York to Cleveland to Detroit to all these different places. But eventually, they became impossible to ignore. And sitting on that fire escape, I felt like they had finally won. What I could not see. What I could not see that God was not finished with me. I could not see the future. I could not see the purpose. I could not see transformation. I could not see Exodus life change. I could not see housing navigation. I could not see the people I would one day help. I could not see the communities I would one day serve. I could not see the books I would one day write. I could not see any of it. All I saw was pain. All I could see was the pain I was causing myself. All I could see the pain I was causing everyone else. I couldn't see nothing good because those voices were overwhelming. Let me get back to the book. All I could see was pain. But purpose often exists long before we can recognize it. Let me pause for a second. Understand, purpose kept me alive. Purpose is keeping some of us alive because God has a purpose and plan for our life. No matter what the enemy tries, no matter how much we try to mess it up, no matter our character defects, our shortcomings, don't change the fact that we have a purpose. And it exists way before we understand what it is. I never knew I would be doing what I'm doing today, but purpose did. Let's get back to the book. And sometimes God is working in ways we cannot yet understand. The beginning of a different story. Looking back now, I realize that the fire escape was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a different story. A story of recovery, a story of redemption, a story of transformation, a story of purpose. Let me shut this down over here on YouTube. It is really bad over there. Okay. A story of purpose. Purpose kept me alive. Purpose is keeping some of you alive. A story that would eventually take me from homelessness to housing people experience homelessness. A story that would teach me one of the most important lessons of my life. Housing changes where people live. Transformation change who people become. Wow. I'm going to say that again. Think about it. Because we want to house the homeless. And remember, homeless is just not people that's in these encampments, not people on the streets. There's people homeless that we call couch surfing. There are people without a key going from house to house, not necessarily living in the streets, but they're changing geographical location. Housing changes where people live. Transformation changes who people become. That lesson would eventually become the foundation of everything I believe, everything I teach, everything I build, and everything you are about to read. My final reflections in chapter 1. As you read this book, I want you to understand something. This is not simply a book about homelessness. It is not simply a book about housing. It is not simply a book about recovery. It is a book about transformation. It is a book about purpose. It is a book about hope. It is a book about what becomes possible when people refuse to let their worst chapter become their final chapter. Because if there is one thing my life has taught me, it is this. No matter how dark the night becomes, purpose can still be found. No matter how broken life becomes, transformation is still possible. And no matter how far someone has fallen, God still can rewrite the story. The fire escape was not the end. It was the beginning. And this is that story. I'm going to go to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is where I come from. Chapter 2 is where I grew up. Chapter 2 gave me my foundation. Chapter 2 kept me alive. I know God kept me alive, but what I learned in chapter 2 made me who I am today. Chapter 2, Camden, where it all started. Camden, New Jersey, where it all started in my life. No matter how far I get away from Camden, I'm always from Camden. I've lived in New Orleans. I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Charlotte. And when people ask me, where am I from? I said, I'm from Camden, New Jersey, but I live in Atlanta, but I live in Charlotte, but I live in New Orleans, or I work in these places because I will always be from Camden, New Jersey. I don't. I could get. I know I'm from heaven. I know where I originated from heaven. But I'm talking down here on earth. I will always be from the city that raised me. Chapter 2, where it all began. Before there were trains, before there were shelters, before there was addiction, before there was homelessness, before there was a fire escape, there was Camden. Camden, New Jersey was my home. It was where my story began. Like many young people growing up in Camden, I had dreams. I had hopes. I had ambitions. I believe my life was going somewhere. Down there, first house down there on 4th and Mickle Street, right across the street from the Walt Whitman house, where my auntie, Eleanor Ray, and my uncle Thaddeus, she was the coordinator over there at Walt Whitman house. I used to play in there, corner with the stand backs and uh, Brenda and on Mickle Street, and then we moved to 3rd and Washington with the Dunbars, hung with the Dunbars, Patrick, Gary, y'all know Patrick, Raj with the Hills and the Ingrams, Pablo, all of us grew up on that 4th Street basketball court, Central School, and then they built Landon Square, first students at Landon Square. That's where it all started for me down there. Used to go through the train station to go to the Midway. We used to walk up to the skating ring on Mount Ethan Avenue from downtown. Camden, New Jersey was home. Let me get back to the book. It was where my story began. Like many young people growing up in Camden, I had dreams, I had hopes, I had ambition. I believed my life was going somewhere. I did not wake up as a child and decide I wanted to become homeless. I did not wake up and decide I wanted addiction to become part of my story. I did not wake up and decide I wanted to spend years wandering through the streets trying to survive. Nobody dreams of that future. My story began, like many others, with possibilities. Growing up in Camden. Camden was a city filled with both challenges and potential. People often focus on the struggles, and certainly there were struggles, but there was also community. There was resilience. There was cultures. Families were trying to build better lives. People were working hard every day. Young people were dreaming about what they might become. I grew up around places like Pollocktown, North Camden, Centerville. Told you where I was from, downtown, and eventually made it to East Camden and Westville Acres. We had there were neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods helped shape me. Those streets taught lessons. The people taught lessons. Life itself became a classroom. Some lessons were good, some lessons were painful, but every lesson eventually became part of my journey. Woodrow Wilson High School, the only high school in Camden, the only real high school in Camden. We had Camden High too, but it's only Camden High. They changed the name of Wilson to whatever, but I just had to put that little plug in there. Councilman Chris Collins always say Camdenites. I always say Camdonians. It's amazing, right? Because he went to Camden High, so it don't really matter. But let me get back to the book. I attended Woodrow Wilson High School. Even in high school, at that point, life still felt full of possibilities. I could not see what was coming. I could not see addiction. I could not see homelessness. I could not see recovery. I could not see housing navigation. I certainly could not see myself writing books and helping transform lives. I was simply trying to figure out who I was and where life might take me. Like most young people, I assumed there would always be more time. The seeds of purpose. The seeds of purpose. Looking back now, I realized something important. Purpose often leaves clues long before we recognize them. Even as a young man, there were signs. I cared about people. I connected with people. I understood the struggle. I understood hardship. I understood resilience. At the time, I did not know those qualities would one day become part of my assignment. I simply knew they existed. There's qualities that you had way back then. There's qualities that you have now. These are seeds that's been planted by purpose that I could never see, that you might not see now, but it's there. Years later, I would discover that God often plants seeds long before the harvest appears. The city that never left me. Even after my life took me far beyond Camden, Camden never truly left me. The lessons remain, the people remain, the memories remain. The city became part of my identity, of who I am and what I was made of, what I'm made of today. Like they say, if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. But if you grew up in Camden, you can live anywhere. You can do anything. You can make it. You can not just make it, you can become all you be wherever you're at. Because you'll always have that identity of where you came from. Even today, when I speak about homelessness, recovery, housing, and transformation, I carry Camden with me. Because Camden helped shape how I see people. Camden helped shape how I see struggle. Camden helped shape how I see hope. Camden helped shape how I see possibilities. When I was growing up, I knew this coming from the city, being proud, like going any part of New Jersey, being proud, say, I'm from Camden. And as I traveled across the country, a lot of times I tell people I'm from Camden. They say, oh, I heard about Camden. They always hear about how tough Camden is, but Camden not. See, they hear about the toughness, but when they look at you, they look at the greatness of Camden. When they look at me, they see a byproduct of Camden, New Jersey. The good, the bad, the ugly, but it always remains in me. Because the city became part of my foundation. Potential and environment, potential and environment. One thing I have learned over the years is that potential and environment often coexist. A young person can possess tremendous potential and still be surrounded by unhealthy influences. A young person can possess tremendous ability and still make destructive decisions. A young person can possess great dreams and still lose direction. That reality is important to understand because many people assume homelessness begins with homelessness. And it usually does not. See, homelessness doesn't begin when you're homeless. The roots often begin years earlier, long before anyone sees the outcome, long before anyone sees the consequences, long before anyone sees the struggles. Homelessness is a byproduct of things that accumulated, of decisions that accumulated over years and years and years, of situations and circumstances. Looking back through different eyes. looking back through different eyes. Today, I can look back on those years with a different perspective. At the time, I could not understand the road ahead. Now I can see how God was preparing me, not causing every struggle, but preparing me through every season, preparing me through every lesson, preparing me through every challenge, preparing me through every victory, preparing me through every setback, because one day I would need to understand people who felt lost. Those 20 years out in the streets, those 20 years out in the streets, the trauma, the depression, the anxiety, the years of thinking my life was useless and why did I even exist? I mean, what was the purpose of me even being born? Because I saw nothing. I saw nothing good in me. I just couldn't get it right. I was useless. And then one day God spoke to me. He said, what you thought was trauma was training. I needed you to go through everything that you went through, that you can feel everything that you can feel, so that you can stand in front of the people that you're going to help and say, I know how you feel. I had to take you through the homelessness. I had to take you through eating out of the trash cans. I had to take you through the corporate jobs. I had to take you through losing everything. I had to take you through gaining everything. I had to take you through every experience that you could feel to prepare you for the purpose and plan that I have for your life. And that preparation prepared me for today, prepared for me to write this book, prepared me to go from surviving to thriving, prepared me to understand that my life was a training ground and that the trauma that I thought there was a purpose for everything that I went through. Let me go back to the book, because one day I would need to understand every feeling that I feel today to be able to help people. One day I would need to understand people who felt forgotten. One day I would need to understand people who felt hopeless. And understanding often comes through experience. See, some of these things, I keep telling you, I don't teach from theory. I teach what life has taught me. I had to go through those 20 years. I had to go through them homeless cycles. I had to go through being a bad dad and son and husband and slimy. I had to go through all that stuff to be able to do what I do today. I had to experience those things because I had to experience those feelings. To be able to stand in front of somebody, to know when I stepped out of the building, I look in front of me and look behind me and look left and look right. And no matter which way I went, I had nowhere to go because I had no place to go. I know how it feels to have a gun pointed at your face. I know how it feels to point a gun at somebody. I know how it feels to be hungry for days at a time. I know how it feels to sleep on trains. I know how it feels when October comes and for the next 4 months, because you're homeless, you just can't get warm. I know how it feels to just try to make it through the night, just to see the sunlight, to feel safe, but still have nowhere to go. The nights sleeping on those trains, the nights sleeping in those basements. I know that feeling. I had to experience all those things. And what I realized, I experienced it for you. Let's get back to the book. What Camden taught me. Camden taught me many things. It taught me resilience. It taught me survival. It taught me toughness. It taught me community. It taught me that people can endure incredible challenges and still keep moving forward. That, listen, incredible challenges in your life. Where I grew up from taught me no matter what the challenges, I could keep moving forward. In spite of the drugs, in spite of the prison, in spite of all those things, I could still move forward. I could, if I woke up to another day, back to the book. More importantly, Camden taught me never to underestimate people, because behind every struggle is a story. Behind every neighborhood is potential. Behind every setback is possibilities. The lessons would eventually become one of the foundations of my work. And when I went through all that, let me tell you the beginning of my journey. As I look back now, I realize Camden was not simply where I grew up. Camden was where the journey began. The journey that would eventually take me through addiction, through homelessness, through recovery, through transformation, and ultimately into a life dedicated to helping others discover what I eventually discovered. That no matter how difficult the road becomes, purpose can still be found. And here's my founding reflection on chapter 2. Excuse me. Before there was homelessness, there was hope. Before there was addiction, there was dreams. Before there was brokenness, there was possibilities. That is important to remember, because when you look at people experience homelessness today, we are often seeing them in the middle of their story, not the beginning, and certainly not the end. Every homeless person was once a child with a dream. Every homeless person once believed life would be different. I know, because I was one of them. And my story began in Camden, New Jersey, a city that helped shape me, a city that never left me, a city that helped prepare me for a purpose I could not yet see. That is my chapter 2, and I'm going to stop there, and we'll go into chapter 3 next week. What shaped you? Where you grew up, did the place that you grew up shape you? Did it prepare you for life? Did it prepare you to do what you do now? Did it allow you to find that purpose found you and you found purpose? In my book, From Homeless to Housing the Homeless, the missing link between homelessness, housing, and lasting transformation: one body, one mission, one purpose, one kingdom. Coming from Camden always gave me hope. Always gave me the understanding that no matter how difficult life came, I could take it. No matter how heavy things were in my life, I could carry it. No matter how low I could go, I could always get up. I'm thankful for people I grew up. I'm thankful for my city. I'm thankful for the families, even to this day. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Hey, make sure you get my book, From Homeless to Housing the Homeless, The Missing Link. I'm your guy, Ray Wilkerson, lived experience expert in housing, housing navigation, recovery, transformation, and shared living. And I will always tell you, I don't teach or wrote this book from theory. I teach what life has taught me. Till next week, peace out and holla. Okay, give me a post for a Facebook channel from my reading chapter 1 from the Voices, and then chapter 2, Camden, where it all started. And just give me a you know what I've read about, and I'm just going to drop it in there. Also, I always start off with Ray Wilkerson, a lived experience expert. Then I teach from, make sure we do that. And Camden, where it all started. That was my reading for the day. Chapter 1, starting from Voices, in chapter 2. Take it for Facebook.